contaminate things just from using the cutting board that you're using. Maybe it's something that's fresh foods, but then you actually touch things that you're cutting, raw fish, raw poultry, things like that. You don't realize it. There's actually a nice video they make new nursing students watch, ways to contaminate, not just with food, but in the hospital. You don't realize that I just touched you, and then I went over there and I touched him, and then I touched this, and then you came and touched this, and you don't realize how quickly a little germ can go. Things like hepatitis can live on a countertop for 7 years. So yeah, the HIV virus isn't quite as strong, but things can live a long time, and the biggest way to prevent infection is washing your hands. Simple. You should wash for at least 20 seconds. And they say to sing the happy birthday song, the chorus of happy birthday, sing it in your head twice, and that's an acceptable amount of time. But soap and water is the best. I do always use that foam in the hospital as well, but nothing beats soap and water. It's good when you have nothing, but I always wash in between patients. Soap and water, definitely underneath your nails. Wash the back side of your hand, in between. People like to just kind of put the water on, go like that, and that's it. But it's not enough. You need at least 20 seconds of hand washing, and as many times as you can a day, the best way. And you don't realize too, I have 3 kids, so they runny nose or something, I go to wipe their nose, and then I go do something for my son, and now that's gone. It goes so fast, just little things, but you know, the young population, the elderly population, if you have a pre-existing condition, maybe diabetes or anything else, you want to be extremely vigilant and wash your hands. That's the #1 thing. Next, I would say, as far as the illness goes and cross-contamination, I actually brought one of my, hi Lee, come on in. Sorry. You know, oh, I formally introduced myself. I brought my cutting board. And it's funny, I didn't even realize how bad it was starting to look until I was doing this. I was like, oh, because I'm reading, you know, just the cuts in here is where germs can get in and harbor and cause some issues. I like to wash everything with soap and water. Again, I'm a big believer in the soap and water thing. Hot soap and water, and this is time to get replaced.
Can you use a little Clorox?
That's the other thing that, you know, I should talk to you a little bit about. I brought some of these cleaners here. When I didn't know any better, I would take these cleaners and wipe down my counter, and that was that, because it's a cleaner, and just, you know, wipe it down. So, I mean, I can see that this is dirty. I would just do that, and it's clean, right? But now, what if I go cut something on there, some sort of food, right? And sometimes you might use a cutting board. You might just wipe down the cutting board with a cleaning agent like that while you're eating that. So what they say is, so you really need to read the directions on the bottle. They're quite different from this bottle to this bottle. One will tell you, put it on, wait 30 seconds, let it kind of soak in, clean it, wipe it down, but then you need to go and wash it down with water. You need to wash it down with water. I don't have time for that sometimes. So you have to make time. A lot of times they'll tell you to use a small, in here it'll tell you to use a small portion of bleach even to help clean. Bleach kills everything, but a lot of the cleaners come with bleach in it, and it will inactivate over time. So if it's sitting in a solution, it's not the best way to go. You want to put it fresh, make a fresh solution. So, let's see, I left you, well I just wanted to see, here's some common illnesses that you can have if you can cross-contaminate just by using, like I said, the undercooked meats and mixing them with things like sprouts and raw vegetables, things like that. You can cross-contaminate the foods that you have ready to eat with your other foods. You shouldn't mix them together. So how do you know if you've got some sort of illness going on? Here's on the next page is some common symptoms we'll see. See it a lot. I typically work in the emergency room, so I see this happening a lot. You can kind of tell you have a foodborne illness versus something else when you've eaten something and 3 people in the house have the same symptoms right away. Hi, Ruth. How are you? Nice to see you. So, that goes without saying, not to say you can't have something else going on, but these are the typical symptoms you see here: nausea, vomiting, belly pain, diarrhea, and it usually attacks you pretty quick and then it's gone. It's gone.
Doesn't say anything about fever.
No, typically not a fever with something that you eat.
Oh, when it's food.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Now, if you had an
Right.
infection
I was
from
just thinking
something else,
infections.
definitely, that would be the difference, definitely, definitely. So as far as the food goes, who's at risk? I mean, you're at risk for an infection, but you're also at risk on the next page. And they always say that young children, the elderly, if you have some pre-existing, like we talked about, you really have to be vigilant and stay on top of this. Be careful what you're cooking with what you're mixing with what. I think just now, even having talked, just a few minutes, you'll go home and you'll cook something and go, oh shoot, I never thought of that. You know, I just mixed something with something else. You just have to think of it in your mind, what you touched and how you prepared it. Because, you know, it can cause a problem. Also, you'll keep going on and reading, as far as improper refrigeration. Does anybody know how high your refrigerator or low your refrigerator should be at? What's the degrees? He cheated. He's cheated. I heard a right answer, I think.
140?
40. 40. Yep. So, for the refrigerator, the proper, I think it's in here in a couple of pages, but you
here it
want to
is.
have it, yeah, you want to have it set, there we go, yep, on the next page. Sometimes you'll see the refrigerator is set much higher, 50, 55, and it's not keeping your food cool. My mother-in-law is Greek, and she likes to cook dinner at 9 o'clock in the morning, and she leaves it on the stove all day. I think a lot of us like to do that, and then I come over, and she's like, oh, here you go, but it's been sitting. You should not eat any food that's sat out for more than 2 hours. She'll take it from the pot and then warm it in the microwave, and everything's great, but it's not great because it's got that time to harbor, you know, some bugs in there. You should take it, if you want to cook it, that's fine. Cook it and transfer it into the refrigerator, and when it's time to eat, go ahead and eat it. But yeah, she'll leave it out on the stove the entire day. And at the end of the day, she'll put it in the refrigerator. But refrigerator's not doing you any good if it's set at 65. Leave it on the counter, right? Same thing. So, what else on here? Also, your poor, if you have poor personal hygiene, like we said, if you're not washing your hands, I'm not sure who came in a little bit later. If you're not washing your hands and you're cooking and you just wiped your grandson's nose and then you decided to go cut up your carrots, well, you know, you don't think of it, but you always should be washing your hands in between each thing that you touch. And also the cross-contamination, which we also mentioned. One food to another, raw fruits and vegetables, things like, which I found was interesting. How did I lose my vegetables? Things like sprouts, I know, honeydew melon, the skin of the honeydew melon, anything that's been able to be touched in the grocery store by a lot of hands, you always want to wash your vegetables, your fruit. You know how many people touch them and then put them back or have a sample, that kind of thing. And I had a list, I can't remember where they are. Just remember honeydew melon, and all the fresh fruits and vegetables.
What's this in there?
What'd you say?
I mean, what's the one?
Yeah, I have it somewhere. I'm gonna come across it in just a minute. I had it in
It's just rinsing them?
rinsing them out. They have some of those sprays that you can spray in vegetables. I'm not a big fan of just because I think it's another chemical personally. So we're just gonna rinse them out and sink them and let them sit for a little while. Yes.
Anything that you peel, like banana,
No, because the outside, but bear in mind, somebody's touched the peel. And I peeled it and then stuck it in onto the banana. Right?
shouldn't mix it before you peel.
No, you don't need to. So you should always wash your hands before you prepare food, before you eat food, and before you might eat somebody else or children or yourself.
Probably better to dry your food on a paper
On a
towel
paper towel
versus a
after.
dish towel.
That's a great point Elaine just made. So how many of you like to use sponges? How often do you change them?
I stick it in the dishwasher. That's what mine in the dishwasher,
Yeah.
but not often enough.
Yeah, I do the same thing actually, but about a month or two ago, I love sponges because they're easy to wipe up like that, but I try to, paper towels are obviously great because you use one, you throw it away, but it's costly after when my husband's yelling, $12 of paper towels every week, you know? So sponges are great, even a cloth like this is great, you can throw it in the wash at the end of the day, you know? I know you like sponges, I like the other side of the sponge too because you can scrub your dishes, but I've switched to using something like this more so. Pick up your sponge and smell it. It starts to smell and it holds all those bugs inside of it. Even when you do put it in the dishwasher, it can't get all the way through every time. So I would at least switch them out weekly, getting a new sponge, you know, that's another way that germs just like to sit there. So if you do want to sanitize your sponges, they recommend in 1 teaspoon of bleach in about a quart of water. So that's a way to at least keep it clean, or else get a new one every week or so. It's like toothbrushes. Let it soak, yeah, for 20 minutes. Just like toothbrushes, you know, nobody ever likes to change those out, but you should do that as well, equally as often. And if they get worn, just like my cutting board that we saw, how terrible, it's not even that bad. I've seen worse, but it should be replaced. It should be definitely changed out. But when you do wash it, if it's in good shape, wash it. You can wash it in that same solution. Just make sure you rinse really well. Just like rinsing the countertop as well with water after. I can still smell what I've sprayed on the counter, which, you know, is great. You've killed the bugs, but then you're going to eat it. You can still smell it, you know.
So do you have both the woodwork versus the plastic cutting boards or the glass ones?
You know, I would say they recommend using wood just for like breads and things like that. Is that what you've heard as well?
Yeah.
The breads,
For your meat or...
the meats, not so much because it gets soaked inside the wooden cutting boards. Any meats and things like that. I only cut. We have actually a cutting board that came in the countertop, and it's wood. So I always yell at my kids because they want to put everything on it. You know, just the bread. That way you can wipe it down and that's it. But no meat, anything like that. It just soaks it up almost like a sponge. And that's another way to get sick. Get sick and get sick. What do you think?
Wound care? No.
Maybe upstairs. Check the front. Yeah, the front office. So, like I said before, just keep in your mind, if I just wiped up the chicken that spilled up on the chicken juices on the counter, I just wiped it in that sponge. Everybody just runs it right under the water, squeezes it out, and then goes and wipes up something else with it. But now everything's got chicken juice on it. So I would probably use a paper towel to wipe up that mess and use the sponge for the other things. But either way, maybe, you know, put it in a bleach solution if you want to keep them clean and keep those germs out of it. And like I mentioned before, the bleach solutions will break up very quickly. So if you have a cleaning powder that has bleach in it, there's bleach in it, but it's not going to be as effective as if you mixed it right now. If you put a little bleach with the water now, it will be much more effective.
Does it break down in the dry, like the cleanses that are dry, like the, you know, that you sprinkle on?
No, in the
Does it
liquid.
break down?
Mhm, in the liquid
But
solution.
not in the clean stuff?
I am determined to find those vegetables. I don't know where I lost them at, but anyway. So it's also recommended the raw meat, the poultry, things like that, the seafood in the bottom shelf of your refrigerator so the juices won't drip from up top down onto everything else. Once you come home from the grocery store, keep them down on the bottom as best as you can. As the produce, so we talked about the cold running water, and like Elaine mentioned, laying it on a paper towel to dry after you've done that. Scissors, knives, things like that, those are other things you don't think of. You go and cut something, and my kids do it all the time. They like to cut open those yogurt sticks that they eat now, and they cut it, and the yogurt gets on the scissors, and then they just put the scissors back. And then somebody keeps using it, so there's a, it's little things you don't think of, but then it's all over the place, and everybody's eating it and getting sick, and you just can't stay on top of it these days. So little things, even like cutting things. Some people like to cut bread is one thing, but cut things and put the knife right back. That's another way. You're just passing it all around. It's just like me, like we talked in the beginning, touching you, touching her, touching this counter, and some viruses can live. They're pretty strong, live for quite a long amount of time. So I don't want to freak you out. You can go out of here. Oh my gosh! But just so you're, I know, just so you think about it though. Yeah, once you put it in your mind and you put it in perspective, it'll be much easier. You'll wash your hands much more often, and you'll find that hopefully you'll be, sick a few less times this year and feeling much better. That's the most important part. If you have a cut in your hand, another thing too, if you cut your hand, even cutting a bagel or whatever, you might want to wear a disposable glove on it because you can get germs from that cut. So sometimes people don't think of it, but that's a good. Acrylic cutting boards, glass cutting boards, woods that we mentioned, they can be safe, but you should use 2 separate boards for whatever you're using. So one board for, I don't recommend personally using the wooden cutting boards for meat, but no.
I'll send you out, that's okay.
I'll recognize you have the questions, right?
Yes, right here.
That's what this is?
Yes, not wounds though. Food illnesses, basic infections, but not specifically.
I'm very sorry to
No, that's okay. So if you're going to cut, you have 2 boards, and you're going to cut one for your raw fruits and vegetables, stick it in the dishwasher after, or you can wash it some of the other ways that we talked about, the teaspoon of bleach in the water, and the quart of water, make sure you let it dry or wipe it off after you use it. What else? When you properly cook something, it should be cooked like warm to about 165 degrees. You definitely want to check it to make sure, because again, it can they can hold harmful bacteria in the food. A meat thermometer is the best, the only way that can tell you if it's warm enough. Most people pop it in the microwave, it feels warm, that's great, but really it should be reheated. I think a little bit further, you'll have some temperatures as far as cooking food, how high you should have it. But don't rely on the meat because it's pink, you think it, or it's brown, it's cooked, that kind of thing. You want to make sure you cooked it properly to the right amount. And again, after you use the thermometer, soapy water to clean it.
How about the pre-wash salad greens and bags? Are they safe?
I hate to say for sure, I'm not a big fan of them, but I like the old school lettuce. My husband gets them a lot. They put some sort of chemicals on it to keep it fresh, longer in bags. That's the ones you're talking about. Some of them come in containers, and they have kind of a funny smell to them.
Well, I don't know, it's this funny smell.
Yeah.
The bags do, the containers.
The containers seem to be pretty
are
fresh. They
fresh.
go bad quickly, but they're fresh as far as I can tell.
The
So
bags do have
something on them.
I don't know what it is, but
Right?
it has
Keep
a
it for
different
2
taste.
weeks, but
You taste it.
at what price? So, here is this. We have on the blue ones. We have some temperatures. Ground meat, hamburger, meatloaf, meatballs should always be cooked to at least 160 degrees. The same as for medium. Some of the cooking temperatures are even higher for red meat than dark meat. Higher for red meat, and that dark meat needs to be cooked to a higher temperature than even white meat would be cooked at. So those are just for you to look at, just so you know how high it should be. So as we talked about cooking, storing your food in the refrigerator after you've cooked it, if you're done eating it, you're gonna save it leftover, that's fine. I've heard stories, I have friends whose grandparents lived through the Depression, so they will leave a plate of leftovers, and weeks later will cut off the milky part and eat the food. And I feel bad to say don't do that because it's being resourceful to some degree, but it's too long, way too long. If you have to, it's one thing to cut off mold from cheese. Somebody asked me, is that okay? Well, it's a little bit different than an actual plate of leftovers where you're cutting off large quantities of it. I know to save money, and I know times are still tough, probably not as the same degree, but it's unhealthy, huge way to get sick. Even if you cook that to 1,000,000 degrees, that mold and germs are already in there. It's not the best idea. So as soon as you cook something, if you wrap it up, put it right into the refrigerator, keep it nice and cold until you do want it, and then heat it to the proper temperature. That's the best thing to do. Wash your hands before, wash your hands after. And even 1 hour, I would get the food into the refrigerator within 1 hour. Is probably a better choice, but 2 would be the maximum.
You gotta let food cool before I put it in the refrigerator with the demons.
Funny you say that. So using shallow containers is a better idea to make sure it's cooling evenly, and thick things like soup, chili, you can't think of anything else, maybe a sauce. You might even add ice to it to speed up
I
the
guess
cooling
my
process.
question is if you have something you heated up and ready,
Mhm.
and you want to put the leftovers in the refrigerator, if you put them in warm, let them cool before you put them in the refrigerator.
I wouldn't leave them out any more than an hour. I put them right in.
You put them in while they're warm.
Mhm.
No problem.
No. Nope. And if it's been out for 3 hours, you should really throw it away. I need to say that. And I've done that. I've made a big soup, and I went and took care of 2 or 3 things, and then came back. I meant to freeze it, or at least put it in the refrigerator, and I haven't. I've had to throw. I usually yell at my husband. Somehow it's his fault. I'm not sure why, but it really is his fault. Why did you put that away? I was busy taking care of the kids or whatever, but I throw it away. I have one of my 3 children has a heart condition, so we don't take any chances. He had heart surgery, and we try our best. If he gets a bacteria, it's very bad for him. It's a big huge rigmarole. We have to go to the doctor and get lab work drawn, and it's a big deal. So we try to be pretty careful. We get our flu shot. He's in the same categories, I would say, the really young or the elderly. He's first on the list to get the flu shot every year. If there's a shortage, he'll get the shot. But we're very careful to wash our hands. And I have to be on top of my kids because they like to just kind of go like that, with the water. But it's not, like I said, if you're not washing your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. And under your nails, people have long nails, and then some people have acrylic nails. You really have to, under your rings. I don't even wear rings because I don't want the stuff to stay underneath it. I get in trouble with my husband on that one, but it's a huge way, especially working in the hospital. The germs will get under that. It's very hard to clean them out, unless you're soaking things in bleach, that kind of thing.
Cindy, how about how long to keep the food in the fridge, the leftovers?
2 to 3 days, I would say, no longer than that. My mother used to keep it for a week. Mom, get this stuff out of here. But personally, I don't eat it the next day. It's gone. I throw it away. But my mom would yell at me for that too. You throw away too much stuff. So there's a fine line. I would say 2 to 3 days is okay as long as you've done properly. You've washed your hands. You put it away right away. You're heating it to the proper temperature. That's fine. 2 to 3 days. But like I said, I would go over to her house and clean out her refrigerator, and there was things in there that had been there at least a week. They hadn't grown anything on them, so she thought they were acceptable to eat. Mom, no. So we would always battle back and forth. You don't necessarily want to throw things right away, which is what I did in my little bit younger days. I throw it away. Now I learned there is value in reheating things. Trust me. Saves you a lot of time and money later, but there is a time where it's not good for you. It's not good for you at all. so. You have another question, I think something else, Dawn?
Yes.
Yes.
How long in the freezer?
Depending on what it is, I would say 3 months. My husband says.
How long in
In
the
the
freezer?
freezer. You think longer than that? 3 months is probably.
Yeah, but I think, meats, I think the outside is 3 months, but, there's other things like vegetables that you can do up to 6 months.
6 months, yeah, depending on what it is exactly, but I would
Is
just
it
go with
spoiled
3
or is it just the quality?
Well, the other thing is it has to be wrapped properly.
properly.
You can't just throw like a piece of, say you have a piece of meat, you know, if you cut a piece of a steak in half to use later, you can't just throw it into a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. Because it's going to get freezer burn within a couple of weeks. You have to wrap it in saran wrap and then put it in a freezer bag. And
But is it actually because of the bacteria you shouldn't keep it in there, or is it the quality? If it's wrapped properly and everything. I mean, I've had things in there for ages.
Bacteria, I
Well,
would
the
say.
I think the bacteria, actually, even though it's frozen,
yeah.
Mhm.
wow.
Because you don't know, you open your freezer, and if it's left open at any time, you know, there's a lot of variables that can affect the
One little
temperature.
bacteria has frozen.
Right, we all buy food, of course, in supermarkets, but aren't the handles on the carts most susceptible to contamination? You know, you can't walk around with gloves and stop and shop.
I know.
Well, they have wipes in there
They
now.
started doing those wipes at
They
the
do
front
that,
of
is
the
that a good
store.
strategy?
To
And the other
keep
thing
it
is,
clean, yeah.
especially if you're Catholic, the church pews, with the kneeling down and the shaking of the hands.
That's a great
Boom.
point. Yep, yeah.
And the other thing is, we watch a lot of
Wash your
cooking
hands
shows.
before you eat.
The cooking shows, they don't wear gloves
I
half of the
know,
show.
I
mean,
know,
like this.
I
you
know.
oof.
But
It's
they
funny.
don't serve that food,
I know, that's true.
so they don't have to wear gloves because they're not serving it.
But they're setting a
To
bad
public,
example,
to
you know,
any-
if people are.
But you don't use gloves at home for your food,
No, that's true.
you know, so if you're not serving, if the only place you have to wear gloves is if you're in a public environment.
Well, should you wear gloves and stop and shop?
Probably,
but you-
can't hurt.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, but you're
You
probably.
feel like a fool.
Yeah, but they have the wipes.
They do, they have
So
all
as
of them.
long as you
Sometimes-
use that and then you wash your hands when you go home before you
Right.
eat anything and, you know,
That's
because
good.
you're gonna put your groceries away, they've been touched.
And don't go to
So-
Catholic churches either.
Well, I was raised Catholic, but my husband's Greek Orthodox. It's very similar, and they share the wine with everybody on the same spoon.
Really?
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm not this week, no thanks. Yeah, they
Catholics
share
drink out of a chalice.
That's
the same thing, yeah.
They supposedly wipe it, that's.
No, there's no wiping on the spoon, I'm
No,
sure
in the
of that.
winter now, they start, like when we had the flu outbreak, 2 years ago, I think? They didn't do, you couldn't take the wine and we didn't do sign-up fees. It was just, you know, I mean, they've gotten back to it, but depending on what the winter season brings.
A lot of people don't anymore.
I know.
It
Which
is
okay.
optional though, you know. so
Yeah,
no one
which is
supposed
okay,
to do
that's
that.
okay. You can do, thank you.
It says refrigerate food promptly to the local release that
And your refrigerator should be set up.
locally.
I know,
We
we
freezers?
freezer, yes, but exactly, I'm not sure. A few years ago, there was the outbreak at Friendly's. Do you remember that in Arlington? Gosh, it was probably 10 years ago, the hepatitis.
It's now a bank.
Is it really?
Well, that took care of that.
Eliminated. The funny thing is, my husband sent me to go with my boys to go get him some ice cream. So I did. We lived right up the street in Somerville. I went to get him the ice cream. Then I heard this whole thing on the news, and with my son with the heart thing. And, oh, here we go. So we went to, where was that hospital up there in Arlington? Remember something?
Sims.
So we went up there, and there was a line for miles and miles. I felt like I was at Disney, you know, it was a big line. And finally we get up to the front, and my oldest, who's a big baby, he gets the shot. They got him in the leg, and he's walking out. The other one who had heart surgery was like walking out after, and everybody said, "Oh, I want the one he had." We don't want a hand shot. My husband never went. It was a booster, so he hopefully wouldn't get the hepatitis.
So wait, you thought the issue and then they said we had that.
So anybody who was in there during these weeks, it was on the news, should go in. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with the employee, but because she had hepatitis, it had to be disclosed to the public. So she could have been very vigilant and washed her hands and served the ice cream and the food and whatever, but she also could not have been. And so that was your choice. My husband never went. It's your fault I'm in this line, for miles and miles. But there is a vaccine for hepatitis A to prevent it. So of course after that we get it. But that's all about food and washing your hands.
Also, anytime you see a store that says closed, a restaurant, closed for repairs, that means the Board of Health is shutting down.
Yeah.
They won't put that up on the sign, Board of Health is closed, but that's if you can read in between the lines, don't go with it.
When I go out to eat, I always look if they have gloves on. My husband taught me that actually because they own a lot of restaurants, or they did at one point or another. But they know who's clean and who's not clean, and they'll watch who's cooking the food and if they're wearing gloves. And you go to eat somewhere. Sometimes you're at a restaurant, you don't know what's going on in the back.
Well, most states in the country have out front, they'll have an A or B or C that tells you that they've been monitored. If it's an A, naturally you,
So, yeah.
my son's overseas, sons of Lloyd's.
Oh.
So, don't go unless it's an A.
A is the way to go. Yeah, little thing. Also, I don't know, does anybody have smartphones? I'm still trying to figure them out, but there's an app that will actually tell you if your food is safe that you can install on your phone. So you might want, I should have brought my 14-year-old in because I don't really know either. But I installed the app on my phone, so you can click on it and it will tell you whether or not your food is safe. You can kind of play around with it, maybe you can put it on. I don't know.
What's the name of the app?
Is my food
They're all over the country. We just really
My
announced the last one.
food- is my food safe? And it's actually on this right here on the bottom. You can put it on any type of phone. Yeah, it's on this paper, which I thought was interesting, might be helpful if you see there. You can press it down so you can see it. I installed it on my phone.
Is there a freezer temperature we should have?
You know what, she asked me the same thing. I don't know of a freezer temperature off the top of my head. Maybe I just blocked it out. Let me see if I do. Freezer, I'm not 100% sure of, but I can find out. I mean, obviously it has to be below freezing, which isn't quite as critical as the refrigerator, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I'll find out. I'll let Elaine know. You don't know either, do you?
I would say below 32.
32, but specifically, maybe it's, yeah. I don't know. I just thought that app was interesting, I know, you know what, I'm lucky I got that. That's like 2 weeks old too, so. And they look at like really funny, but, so that's it. Yeah, so you were very good with it on there, and you can ask you questions. I mean, the 4 easiest things to remember: refrigerate, store. How long has it been in there? You want to check the shelf life of that's one thing I didn't mention. The dates on things. One thing I forgot to mention too, all the produce, like the lettuce. What are other things that have dates on it? The
The
meats,
bag lettuce
obviously.
will, the meat, your vegetable, any of your dry goods will have soups.
Yes, soups, huge.
I buy it.
There's a date.
And the next time, I go to look at them, they usually go
They're
to
tired. You should really throw them
Oh,
out.
you can test the freshness of the egg though. If it floats, it's still
Still
fresh.
fresh.
And if it sinks, it's not good anymore.
Did you hear what she said? You can test the freshness of an egg.
Oh, is it about floating?
Yes,
Yes.
if it floats, it's still good. If it sinks, it's not good anymore.
Okay, that's what the
And you
problem
shouldn't
was.
keep
I
them on your door.
Floating
Floating's good.
And you shouldn't keep them on the door of the refrigerator refrigerator, they should be inside the refrigerator.
Because you open the door so many
Yeah. And it's
times.
an
So you
outside.
can go past the date if you check them. If it's closed.
If it's floats, yeah.
It would be good, like, a person swimming would be better to float than to sink. That's how you remember that, right? You sink, that's bad.
You want swimming eggs?
Swimming eggs are good, that's how we'll remember that.
Swimming, okay.
Yeah.
No, swimming
If you
is down.
sink, yeah, and sinking
If it
bad.
swims, it's okay.
You gotta be careful of your soups, you know,
Elaine has a good point.
your soup, because you know, a lot of people, when you live by yourself, tend to eat, you know, soup probably a lot more than, and your canned goods can go bad just as well as the fresh, you know, produce or your vegetables that have been in the freezer and have freezer burn on them or just completely, they just lose their nutritional value. If your frozen vegetables have ice all over them and are discolored,
Yeah.
they've lost completely nutritional value. And you know, the same for your soup. It's not good once it's gone past the date. So you might not try to stockpile as much food if you don't think you're going to use it in that time frame.
I used to believe that the cans were good forever until there was.
Oh, my father-in-law thinks they're good.
Before they had expiration dates, we never knew, we just
Yeah.
used them all the time.
But you had cold cellars too.
Good
You
point.
had different storage. But now people keep it upstairs in their kitchen in a cabinet where the heat's on in the winter and the summer, and you
Excellent.
get, you know, so the temperature changes way too much. And they're using more, you know, different ways to make the vegetables, canning and stuff. So,
How about the flu shot? Has everybody got their flu shot? Do you do a flu clinic here?
yes, we have free left.
Right? Nice. That's another way. Great thing too. They're actually mandating it, right, at Winchester
At
now.
Winchester, at the
Just
hospital
this
there.
year, all the employees have to get it, right? There's
Our volunteers and employees.
And the high dose is recommended for folks.
I can't say enough though, washing hands, how much that's such a small thing. Because like those bacterial wipes are great at the grocery store, yeah, wipe it down. But they're antibacterial. So there's viruses that live on things too that you don't think of. So
They say to sing happy birthday while you're washing
see?
your hands.
You can tell a nurse to another nurse, right? The things we come up with, happy birthday, yeah. Twice.
So my daughter loves those little, you know, squish the stuff on. So that's a good point. It doesn't have any effect on viruses. It's soap
Soap
and
and
water.
water will.
Because I think people have a false sense when they use it.
It's good to use, I don't wanna, you know,
Not
put it
to the
down.
soul thing.
Right, definitely not.
It's the friction of the soap and water that kills the bacteria.
You
And the
can't just.
viruses.
And you're rubbing quite hard to actually get it off, washing between your fingers, under your rings, and that kind of thing. Just the water falling off your hands is. And it's so simple, but I think people don't do it. I don't know why. But you'll be more mindful now, I think, every time you know, touch something, or I've got a runny nose, I just went like that, can I borrow your pen? And you know what I mean? Especially this time of year, and I borrow your pen, and then she wants to look at it, and then there you have it. Just a little cough.
Stay hidden by yourself.
Yeah, bring your own pen.
Now, Isabel, that's not a very nice way to talk.
No, we're gonna have fun, we're just gonna wash our hands and don't share pens.
Well, and changing your towels too.
Mhm.
Your hand towels, especially in the bathroom and the kitchen, dish towels. Changing them often because.
And those can go right through the wash, so, you know, I think we forget, you know, the paper towel is obviously a great way, but it's expensive, like I said. But just dish towels like this and the hand towels like Elaine mentioned, you gotta change those out. Everybody's wiping their hands on it. You may not have gotten every single germ, and now everybody's wiping their hand on it. You should definitely change that. Just throw them in the wash. Doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can reuse them, you know? Same thing with this. If you wipe down the counter with whatever you're wiping down, follow the directions on the product, and then make sure you rinse it down with some water or something, because that's going to be on your countertop. And then you're going to touch it more.
What about the temperature of the wash water?
Definitely warm water. You don't want to burn yourself, but warm is the way to be, definitely.
You mean in in the washing machine or in the
The
sink?
washing machine,
Oh.
you know, if you have certain things that you go through them.
I
Bless
always
you.
use it warm.
It's okay.
And you want to keep your kitchen towel separate from your bath towels. Common sense thing.
Makes sense. Do you think of anything else? Do you think we'll use this? I thought this was pretty good though, if you have a smartphone. It has a big, you can even play games and take a test, and it shows you, like we were talking about, me touching this and you touching this, it shows you the contamination all of you, like, ooh, after, oh, I didn't think of that, but, you know, it's too smart for me, these phones, I can just pick up who's there, one day.
What about infections from dental procedures, open cuts, non-food type things?
What do you mean, getting an infection from being at the dentist, or having an infection prior
Yeah,
to?
having infections, yeah,
At the dentist?
right.
I guess I'm not 100% sure of the question. What do you mean, as far as treatment after goes?
Well, for instance, if you have an allergy, like
Mm-hmm.
you go to the dentist.
They have you still take the
and-
antibiotic?
Antibiotic before you go.
That's still recommended, yes, not for cardiac patients anymore, but for artificial
So what about if
hips.
you have an open cut or something, can you tell if that's infected?
Can, if you have an open cut, like on your hand or something,
Right.
can that get infected?
Right.
Certainly, you can get.
And how do you know if it's infected?
You, most likely with infection, you'll see fever, redness, swelling, warmth, wherever, like it was on your hand, Judy. If you cut your hand, if you see signs, you start feeling sick, get a fever, and it'll, might have a discharge, might have a funny smell to it.
So again, you'll be trying to prevent those with the proper.
Definitely.
and whatnot.
Hand washing and keeping it clean and dry as much as you can. You might want to, if you're using food, handling food, wear gloves, things like that. It depends, if you're more susceptible to an infection, you just got to be really careful. Wear gloves anyway. But definitely for the hips, I know they stopped doing the antibiotics for the cardiac patients, which always seems kind of funny to me, but anybody with hips.
Actually, I have a number, and when they said that, they said, well, my dentist said, go back to the doctor and get cleared from your doctor. My doctor says, no, she's doing that.
Yeah, the American Heart Association doesn't recommend it
This guy
anymore.
said, let's give you the drugs.
Right, and the reason why they don't want you to have the medication, not that there's the resistance, yeah. So many people get a cough, and my sister-in-law just told me she had a cough, so she said, I'm on antibiotic. I said, oh my gosh, you have a pneumonia? She said, no, but I made the doctor give it to me. And it's not the answer to everything, and then you'll build the resistance. So there's in the hospital different methicillin resistant. There's a lot of germs that are resistant to the medications we have now because we've given it so many times.
You're just giving your immune system full reign on viruses.
They get smart. So that's why you don't want to definitely don't get me wrong, you need antibiotics, you need to take it at the right time, of course, but you don't want to take it just for the fun of
That's
it.
how we work through the bacteria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So some people
Septic,
say-
you talk about viral and bacteria.
I don't know, I would say probably 50-50, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But they, if you have a virus, well, you know what, I think viruses are probably more.
The common cold is just a virus.
Right, I would say probably a higher percentage than that. But to take an antibiotic, if you have a virus, you're just,
But you would be contagious with either one.
your virus
Or
would
with
be
the
contagious if you had a
so
virus,
what about
yeah.
the bacteria?
Definitely be contagious with,
Well, the viruses don't typically react to
antibiotics.
antibiotics.
Yeah.
So you just have to let it run its course, as the bacteria will spread.
Yeah.
But they work so great when you do have a bacterial infection, so I think people think in their mind, I'm just gonna take it, it's gonna make everything better, but it doesn't work. But, there is a good reason, but it's funny, and people will come in and want their antibiotic and don't understand that you're actually, could be doing yourself harm, so you need to find, is it a bacteria or not?
Build up resistance.
Exactly, your body gets smart, yeah, yeah. Or the germs get smart, I should say. What do you think? Anything else? Do you guys think of anything? Is it helpful?
It was very helpful, very.
Wash our
And it's
hands.
nice
Want to wash our hands together? We'll sing anybody's birthday. Well, those are nice and big. I thought they would be helpful.
Yes, very
You
helpful,
know?
very pretty.
Very
I
helpful.
should be
You can
dead
go on
when I'm
the.
following someplace, there's.
I know, right? You can go on there. I don't know if you go on the internet at all, but they have a nice website where you can play games and see all that kind of stuff. I mean, I got into it basically for a quick talk, but you can go there and there's so much more. A lot of resources at the end. It tells you for more resources if you want to go. So.
Thank you.
You're
Very
welcome,
good.
guys. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
everyone.
You're welcome.
I think my question is.